Hello and welcome back to the channel. Well, I'm about to dive into one of those very, very important topics. You're looking at the title here. The title says it all. Basically, what is being said is that we are looking at some catastrophic results ahead for planet Earth. The UN has warned that Earth is firmly on track towards an unlivable planet. An unlivable world. That is frightening. Now, we know all the things that have been taking place that have contributed to that. And it is worse than what we believed because man continues to go in the wrong direction. Now, a lot of people, they don't pay attention to these things because they are so distracted by the things that they intentionally distract you with. They want to give you a report on this and a report on that and keep you up to date with what's going on with this celebrity and that one, and even real news that's happening. They keep you preoccupied with those things because they don't want you focusing too much on this. This earth has been destroyed, literally. Mankind and all of their innovations, all of what they believe to be a step in the right direction, is the opposite of that, is a step in the wrong direction. And so this is why the UN is warning that Earth is firmly on track towards an unlivable world or an unlivable planet. So anyway, there is a very extensive report on this that outlines what they are talking about. And guess what? They are not even touching the surface with this. There are things that have not even been mentioned even in this report that are also contributing to the earth being unlivable at some point. I know that sounds frightening. It definitely does. When you look at the world that you live in today, you're saying, okay, everything looks good. Right now the sun is shining, or it might be cloudy, overcast day, but it's springtime and things are about to get into bloom, or things are blooming depending on where you are. So you can easily be sidetracked by what you see, but the reality is under the surface, or should I say right there in our faces, if you are looking, if you are paying attention. Anyway, take a listen at this very, very disturbing report. And I will be right back.
Temperatures on Earth will shoot past a key danger point unless greenhouse gas emissions fall faster than countries have committed, the world's top body of climate scientists said Monday, warning of the consequences of inaction, but also noting hopeful signs of progress. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said the report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change revealed a litany of broken climate promises by governments and corporations, accusing them of stoking global warming by clinging to harmful fossil fuels. It is a file of shame, cataloging the empty pledges that put us firmly on track toward an unlivable world, he said. Governments agreed in the 2015 Paris Accord to keep global warming well below 2 degrees Celsius, 3.6 Fahrenheit, this century, ideally no more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, 2.7 Fahrenheit. Yet temperatures have already increased by over 1.1 C/2F since pre-industrial times, resulting in measurable increases in disasters such as flash floods, extreme heat, more intense hurricanes, and longer burning wildfires, putting human lives in danger and costing governments hundreds of billions of dollars to confront. Projected global emissions from national pledges place limiting global warming to 1.5 C beyond reach and make it harder after 2030 to limit warming to 2 C, the panel said. In other words, the report's co-chair, James Skee of Imperial College London, told the Associated Press, "If we continue acting as we are now, we're not even going to limit warming to 2 degrees, never mind 1.5 degrees. Ongoing investments in fossil fuel infrastructure and clearing large swaths of forest for agriculture undermine the massive curbs in emissions needed to meet the Paris goal," the report found. Emissions in 2019 were about 12% higher than they were in 2010 and 54% higher than in 1990, said Skee. The rate of growth has slowed from 2.1% per year in the early part of this century to 1.3% per year between 2010 and 2019. The report's author said. But they voiced high confidence that unless countries step up their efforts to cut greenhouse gas emissions, the planet will on average be 2.4 C to 3.5 C, 4.3 to 6.3 F warmer by the end of the century, a level experts say is sure to cause severe impacts for much of the world's population. Limiting warming to 1.5 C requires global greenhouse gas emissions to peak before 2025 at the latest and be reduced by 43% by 2030, he said. Such cuts would be hard to achieve without drastic, economy-wide measures, the panel acknowledged. It's more likely that the world will pass 1.5 C, and efforts will then need to be made to bring temperatures back down again, including by removing vast amounts of carbon dioxide, the main greenhouse gas, from the atmosphere. Many experts say this is unfeasible with current technologies, and even if it could be done, it would be far costlier than preventing the emissions in the first place. The report, numbering thousands of pages, doesn't single out individual countries for blame. But the figures show much of the carbon dioxide already in the atmosphere was released by rich countries that were the first to burn coal, oil and gas beginning with the Industrial Revolution. The UN panel said 40% of emissions since then came from Europe and North America. Just over 12% can be attributed to East Asia, which includes China. But China took over the position as world's top emissions polluter from the United States in the mid-2000s. Many countries and companies have used recent climate meetings to paint rosy pictures of their emissions-cutting efforts, while continuing to invest in fossil fuels and other polluting activities, Guterres charged. Some government and business leaders are saying one thing but doing another, he said. Simply put, they are lying. And the results will be catastrophic. The report isn't without some hope, however. Its authors highlight myriad ways in which the world can be brought back on track to 2 C or even, with great effort, return to 1.5 C after that threshold has been passed. This could require measures such as the removal of CO2 from the atmosphere with natural or artificial means, but also potentially risky technologies such as pumping aerosols into the sky to reflect sunlight. Among the solutions recommended are a rapid shift away from fossil fuels toward renewable energy such as increasingly cheap solar and wind power, the electrification of transport, less meat consumption, more efficient use of resources, and massive financial support for poor countries unable to pay for such measures without help. The situation is as if humanity has gone to the doctor in a very unhealthy condition, and the doctor is saying you need to change. It's a radical change. If you don't, you're in trouble, said report co-author Pete Smith, a professor of soils and global change at the University Aberdeen. It's not like a diet, Smith said. It is a fundamental lifestyle change. It's changing what you eat, how much you eat, and get on a more active lifestyle. One move often described as low-hanging fruit by scientists is to plug methane leaks from mines, wells and landfills that release the potent but short-lived greenhouse gas into the atmosphere. A pact forged between the United States and China at last year's UN Climate Conference in Glasgow aims to do just that. The big message we've got is that human activities got us into this problem and human agency can actually get us out of it again, said Ski, the panel's co-chair. The panel's reports have become increasingly blunt since the first one was published in 1990, and the latest may be the last before the planet passes 1.5 C of warming, Ski told the AP. Last August, it said climate change caused by humans was an established fact and warned that some effects of global warming are already inevitable. In late February, the panel published a report that outlined how further temperature increases will multiply the risk of floods, storms, drought, and heat waves worldwide. Still, the British government's former chief science advisor David King, who wasn't involved in writing the report, said there are two optimistic assumptions about how much CO2 the world can afford to emit. We don't actually have a remaining carbon budget to burn, said King, who now chairs the Climate Crisis Advisory Group. It's just the reverse. We've already done too much in the way of putting greenhouse gases up there, he said, arguing that the IPCC's calculation omits new risks and potentially self-reinforcing effects already happening, such as the increased absorption of heat into the oceans from sea ice loss and the release of methane as permafrost melts. Such warnings were echoed by UN Chief Guterres, citing scientists' warnings that the planet is moving perilously close to tipping points that could lead to cascading and irreversible climate impacts. But high-emitting governments and corporations are not just turning a blind eye, they are adding fuel to the flames, he said, calling for an end to further coal, oil and gas extraction. Investing in new fossil fuels infrastructure is moral and economic madness. Vulnerable nations said the report showed big polluters have to step up their efforts before the next UN climate summit in Egypt this fall.
Okay, so I know that report was long, but they had a lot they were covering in that. And it's really sad that you have people today who are doing these things. They think they're so amazing. They think they have all this technology and this amazing innovations that they believe to be improving the world. But despite proof and evidence and people telling, no, you're not improving the world, you're actually destroying the planet, they continue to do what they do because of money. Notice the mention of big business and corporations. That's all they care about is their bottom line. Guess what else? Many of them know that by the time a lot of this stuff takes effect, that they will probably already have crossed over to the other side. They'll already have met their maker. They'll be dead, right? So they're not even caring about their own families, their own grandchildren or great-grandchildren. As they make all of this money and live their best lives, they're tearing up the planet and destroying it for the next generation. That's essentially what's happening. And it's really sad that people are that greedy. It's disturbing to know that they don't care what they're leaving behind for the next person or the next group of people. You can already see the effects of how they have destroyed the planet. You can see it in the weather patterns. I mean, I'm sure many of you have been noticing that the weather has changed. I'm hearing people all over talking about it, especially in gardening. Those of you who have been growing food, I mean, we've been able to see a difference in 10 years ago and now, and how the seasons are coming in. And the earth is getting more and more violent with how it's tearing up things. The weather patterns are so disastrous. It is frightening. And all of this is a direct result of mankind having their way on the planet, doing what they do, which is pretty much not caring for the planet, not caring for those that will follow. They only care about their stake in things. And it is quite frightening. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that report had some people bothered. It had me bothered, right? Don't look at it like, well, I don't have to worry about that because it's not going to happen in my time, because that's not the truth. We're actually we're living through some of it now. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. Because again, a lot of people are noticing and starting to pay attention. Now everyone wants to go green all of a sudden to save the planet, leave a lighter carbon footprint. It's too late for all of that now. It's too late for all of that. They're actually trying to say or make it seem as if you do certain things, we might be able to undo some of this. But for the most part, just like the UN have said, this says Earth is firmly on track towards an unlivable world. Firmly on track. There is no turning back. Not too long ago, we did a video called Code Red on Planet Earth. They've already essentially hit the panic button. They've already said, look, it's going down, y'all. It's going down. But for many of us, those of us in the know, we know that this is prophesied. All of this was prophesied. And because we know it's prophesied, we know that it's all in Yah's hands. He knows what he's doing. He knows that man was going to go in the direction that they've gone in. This is why it was so easy to prophesy this, because he is all-knowing. This was spoken thousands of years ago. The times that we are living in right now, if you want to know more about it, read about it in the book, in the Bible, in the Sefer. It's there. All of this that we are living and witnessing in today's time is in the Bible. It has been prophesied. So anyway, I am not trying to scare you, just trying to get you to open your eyes and pay attention to what's going on. You can't sing that song any longer. I say to myself, what a wonderful world. We are far past that. We're finished with that. It's going down. Catastrophic results ahead. All right, y'all, I'm done. In the comment section below, keep it tight, keep it right. Until next time.